right, here is a look at a cool new thing that showed up in the mail. Ocular Max Perfection Series PS-13 Impetus, aka Vortex, part of their Assaultus Bruticus combiner here. There's a picture of him with silhouettes of the other guys here on the bottom of the box. Assaultus War Titan, and then some cool stuff on the back of the box. You can kind of, I don't know if the camera's picking up, it's kind of a, it's not entirely blacked out. You can see kind of the brawl and the swindle, who also have integrated feet, but you can see the kind of silhouette of the combined mode here, as well as the transformation to robot, a little tech spec. There on the back, you do get a little, in a baggie, you get a little bio card and decoder. So you can put the little tech spec decoder on there, just like you could with the old toys, and see as tech specs, although it's not as hidden as some of the old tech specs used to be. A little bio card, and of course, the instruction manual. So yeah, and you can see that one of the big things that in several places on the box, it points out the all built in. And how that works is it's not 100% self-contained. Like some of the weapons do come loose. You can put the guns on the arm, the main gun on the helicopter kind of needs to go off to the side. But for combined mode, it is all built in. You don't need to take, you don't need to add any extra parts to make the combiner when they're all, if you want to display them all in robot mode, you're not going to have a pile of combiner bits, hands and feet and such sitting off to the side. It's all built in, and it's actually done really well. But here he is in helicopter mode. He's got his little landing gear down, and I'm going to start off with my only real nitpick on this figure. There's a couple minor ones. My only real issue is that I know he has, you want to give him a handgun in robot mode, or a rifle. I know that the helicopter does have a cannon that you can attach to the front of, like, if you're going G1 old school. This one seems out of place, partly because it just doesn't seem like it matches the rest of the aesthetic of the helicopter. Like these over here, the blue sticks out a little bit, but physically they look like they could be part of this helicopter. This just seems a little weird. Also, because the peg hole that holds it is formed by two halves of this thing pegging together. Like even if you squeeze it together and hold it tight, because of the design that allows it to like snap in and snap out, it wiggles. It's loose. It just never feels like it's, even when you, like I said, even if I sit here and just squeeze that peg hole together as tight as I can, it never feels secure in there. It likes to rotate around. Like even if you have it facing up or facing down, it's gonna twist very easily, and it just doesn't feel satisfying. Thankfully, you can just pop it out and fold those pieces up and have the helicopter as is. You could set that off to the side and not even use it, honestly, because these small guns will go on his forearms in robot mode, so he'll have some weapons. So if you don't want to use it, you can just leave this in the box and still have a fully integrated experience with the robot. But yeah, that's my only real nitpick in helicopter mode, is just the attachment point here just doesn't seem satisfying. The helicopter itself is very cool. He's got spinny blades, and the helicopter blades do collapse. Like I'm not getting a great spin on this here. It's wobbly a little bit, but if you do it right, you can get a really good spin on the blades. There we go. Oh, they do wobble there at the end. They do collapse. You can see there's like a thinner piece here on the inside. We'll show that off in a minute. The back blade does not spin. Even if you push it all the way out, it doesn't spin quite as freely as the props up here. I say blades, the props. Or blade, is it prop or blade? I don't remember. But then the landing gear down here, all of which does fold up. You can fold that up, you can fold these up, and you can have it flying around as a helicopter. He is all in one. We're going to go to arm mode first, and that's the thing. I've been practicing this transformation. I've been using the instruction manual. The instruction manual goes from helicopter to robot to arm. Although to get to the arm, you have to reverse a bunch of stuff back to the helicopter mode. So I'm going to go from helicopter to arm to robot. So there's a couple things that may be done. I'm going to be like, oh, wait, okay, this first, because I'm doing it in a different order than I've practiced it. But I do know where everything goes. So the helicopter blades, you can leave them attached, technically. It's going to be way easier to just pop them off. And instead of grabbing them like this and trying to wiggle them out like that, you do get a little bit more of a solid grip if you fold them up so they're like that. Then you can get your fingers right in here and just pop them right out. They snap right out there. Here they are, and again, like I said, they do collapse. There's a friction pins here, little, you know, on the back. You just kind of slide the inner piece all the way up to the end of the blade, and just fold it up. And there you go. You can just set that off to the side. You can leave it X'd, you can fold it up, but collapse the blades down, set that off to the side. And then a transformer, go ahead and pull these little side guns off and just set them off for the time being. Again, that is where they will end up in arm mode, but just to get them out of the way so you're not knocking them loose while you're doing the rest of the transformation for this is a better idea. So to start off, we'll start off here with the back rotor. It pushes in and out on this piece. You want to make sure it's pushed all the way through, so this bigger knob on this side is pushed all the way up against the tail, and that'll give you the room to push these two lower half pieces apart from this upper half. And yep, rotate it so they match, so they form kind of an L, and then collapse the underside back up into this one, so they form this. And they'll be a little stiff rotating, but you want that. Then fold these two side panels up, fold this down, and go ahead and split the tail pieces here apart like this. And you're going to fold that back, fold that panel up, just like that. Same on the other side. You're going to fold this up, you're going to rotate this down, fold this up into here, and then rotate this whichever way to kind of square off, and you're going to leave the end of it like that. You can't leave it as a helicopter for the arm mode, but this kind of shortens a little bit because it does, the joint for the arm is down here, so it kind of gives them a tall shoulder, and if you leave that fin out, it's going to make it even taller. So we're done with that. Come up here, rotate these the front part of the turbine, or the engine or whatever up here, flip those up, pull this out, lift it up, pull this out, lift it up, and then untab this backpack piece right here on this hinge. Gonna get all that stuff out of the way. Come under here. Now there's a couple different panels here. The panels that the landing gear are on are underneath these outer panels. So bring the wheels down and then come up here and pull these panels out. Just kind of start untabbing them here from all the various places. And you can see here, this comes up, and then the wheels are on a separate panel. So open that all up like that. Bring this all out to the side. And then in here, this whole assembly, open this up and then fold this out. Start ratcheting this out. Untab. You may need to untab these just for the time being. We'll bring this whole assembly up and around like this. Close these back down on these tabs because he's got two windscreens. So there's the actual helicopter windscreen, and here's the false windscreen for arm and robot mode. But it still has the front of the helicopter. It's kind of neat. So bring it down. You can see the hand halves coming out here. So bring that up, and then the hand halves, you're going to split the legs just for the time being. Rotate them around like this. Fold them up. Close this panel over them. To lock it into place, there's a little, as you rotate it around, there's a little dual tab on the end that this tabs onto, these tabs. So rotate the hand around so the hand's facing out, fold that down, and then you're gonna just bring this back down over the landing gear, fold the landing gear back up. This should all tab back into, oh, there we go. Make sure this is at the right angle because it's gonna tab into this little tab on the front of this piece. So that all lines up. Snap everything back together here. Pull the landing gear up. And then snap the two halves of the arm together like that, along with the hand and the fist. And what's cool here is, like, despite the fact that these are on two different pieces, the hand does rotate. Well, let's get it all together. Still rotates. Now, it doesn't do a full 360. It goes from about here, 90 degrees, and then a little bit past 90 degrees. But you do get a wrist swivel, but we're not done with the arm yet. So come around here, lift this piece up, it helps lift this landing gear up. This is the hinge that's going to connect to the main body. So as you're folding it up, it helps to bring the arm all the way out here at the waist. Put your finger on this, and then use the rotating the waist to help push that out. It's a tight joint. You might be able to do it just with your own finger pressure alone, but just using this leverage, since it's a single bar that runs through there, and then pushing on it from behind to pop this out really does help. And then you just fold this back up into place and put the landing gear in place here. Fold this whole assembly back down, reattach these pieces to these tabs like this, and then fold this down in between them, and there's a little tab on the inside of this that these latch onto. So it's not attached to the body of the helicopter or the front of the helicopter anymore, but it does still sit up here on the arm. There's the connector piece. Rotate this around this way. There's a ratcheting joint in there for the arm, which is separate from the knees here. We just bring that up, rotate the fist around. Oh, I did that wrong. Maybe you rotate it the other way. There we go. You can pull up his waist pieces here to allow him movement. Untab these little window pieces here to give that freedom of movement. But now you bring his hand around. He's got a dual jointed elbow, which is nice, nicely articulated elbow. The hand, open it up. Bring the thumb out from here. Actually, you need to do that before you snap them together. Whoops. You gotta make sure his thumb comes out. Yeah, rotate his hand around. His thumb is on a swivel hinge here, and then a ball joint up here, and then has a dual hinge at the joint in the middle. But once the hand's together, like I said, it rotates between, like kind of a circular around between these two pieces, which is nice. The rails join up. You bring it up like this. The thumb can come down. Each finger has all its joints, is individually articulated. And when you push it together, you really don't even see the seam from where they meet. And like I said, you can rotate all the way around, which is nice. Really nice design. And that he'll plug in there, and that's his arm. Like I said, you can, if you wish, keep these small guns up here. I don't have any other comparably sized combiners to really show off, but decently sized arm, and looking forward to the rest of the figures to start hooking them in. But really, really neat in the way that it incorporates all that stuff. And of course you can, if you want to, leave the propellers either as one straight piece. If you want to X them out like that, you can have it sitting there on the arm. You can make it a skinnier X, however you want to do it. And you still have the whole helicopter. Again, once again, the only piece that's not included in this assembly right here is this gun, which would normally peg into the front back here. There's really not any place to store it that I found. There were like some of these peg holes, you might be able to find a way to attach this somewhere and store it. Maybe I'm just missing something. Maybe you could store it right back there. Nope. But regardless, like I said, this will probably sit off in a box. But there's the arm mode. And again, you've got a bicep swivel. I'm assuming this is just a straight tab, but I'm assuming whatever it connects to in Onslaught will also allow it to rotate. You've got a nice ratcheting joint and a good range of motion there on the elbow, the wrist swivel, and all the articulated fingers. So just even as an arm, he's pretty impressive. Gonna pop those out of the way again real quick. Come down here, we'll go ahead and fold this connector joint back up into the body. We'll go ahead and bring the hands back down and split these assemblies. You can kind of see here how those, that's what the stoppage point is. So you can see how that rail works. This piece does actually rotate into the other arm, but there's a little connector piece up here that stops it from rotating too far. So you can't completely swap them over to the other side. That's actually pretty genius, because then you also can't, there's no risk of like spinning this out and having it get lost or popped out by itself. It actually is locked into there. A lot of really neat design stuff going on here in this all-in combined gimmick. So just do that and peg this part of the leg. Fold this, and instead of leaving it straight out like it was for helicopter mold, fold this up into the leg. This piece locks it back into place inside the leg. And instead of just folding up back here, you can leave this just like this, but then you've got this unsightly hollowness. This panel does, on a dual hinge, fold up and around and into the body. There's a couple little tabs that will line up here to lock this in place. But fold that around, fold down the foot for robot mode. Same over here. Lock these. Foot, fold it up. Fold this into place. Take this out, flip it around. And on this side, there actually is a little peg here. That's how the halves peg together, and there's a little peg hole on this piece that you can fold that around and actually peg it onto there. Flip down the foot. And then up here in the waist, if you look under here, there's like these little angled pieces that keep them together for vehicle mode and arm mode. But if you bring that up and then use the lower hinge, you can widen his stance a little bit under those skirts. And then fold him back down, so now he's not straight-legged like right there. And that's his lower half done. The upper half is where it gets a little crazy. So we take this, again, go ahead and pop these off for the time being. Lift these back up again. Rotate them out to the side. Now his head is in here, and the instructions say to pull his head, to give it clearance, kind of pull it down out of here. And I have found that when doing so, his head really likes to pop off. It's on a little ball joint in here, and the way all this stuff rotates really makes his head just want to pop right out of there. And honestly, I just pop it off and set it off to the side at this point. Pull this whole assembly out here, lift this backpack piece up, pull it all the way up on its hinge so it's got a little bit of clearance, and then fold this. Make sure this piece inside here is folded down. And then up here, flip these exterior pieces out. These side panels, rotate them around so they're facing the other direction, and basically that lets them fold up into here, facing the right way. So they just kind of curve up and match the angles of everything here. That's actually a really neat design, the way they did that. Although watch out for these mushroom pegs, because if you rotate them the wrong way, if you don't have the clearance and you get them caught on something, they do like to pop out of their slot. Doesn't happen often, as long as you make sure you've got the clearance with everything folded out of the way properly. Make sure that L's folded up in there, but you see that, that's why we did this with the propeller. It folds right in there. And then you want to push this up through the shoulder pieces, bring these down and rotate them around up here. So they don't tab together, but they do, normally they would tab together here for tail mode, but because of all the stuff folded up in there, they've got the space, they don't tab together, but you want to get them together to form kind of this chunk, which then folds into the body, and you'll even see there's little tabs inside here that will catch in these peg holes on the side of these pieces. So just kind of fold them down and then kind of just push them in until they tab into place in there. You got it? And then you take this down, fold it down, collapse this hinge so that these tabs up here tab into these slots here. Just like that. And you hear it snap into place. His back is done. We'll rotate his body to face forward. We'll bring the shoulders down. And then we'll go ahead, at this point, you can go ahead and pop his head back on if it popped off. I'm not sure if that's a quality control issue or just how it works. I have not yet been able to successfully transform him without popping that head off. So I just go ahead and take care of it. Rotate the arms so these kind of thruster bits are on the outside. Open up the outer gray piece. Rotate the hand inside there around like this. Close this gray piece and then pull this whole lower assembly, fold it around to form his arm. He's got individual fingers. They are solid pieces, but each finger is separate. And then a thumb on a ball joint. Again, one solid piece that's not as articulated as the outer hands. And then same on this side. These folded up, and again at this point you can put the if you wish to display them with the blades on, you can put them on there just like that. You do still rotate, but however you want. These small pieces now peg in on the sides of the arm, the small guns, and he is capable of, let's get this hand all opened up. This rifle does have a little, flip that down. He's got a little peg hole there in his hand. I'll get the thumb out of the way there. Peg it in, have him grab it, he can hold it, and there is Impetus in robot mode. And he looks good. I like him. I like his faceplate. I like his head. And all in all, once you know where everything goes, it's not a super difficult transformation. I do like that everything stays inside of him, combiner-wise. I think there's a lot of really good engineering there. His head's on a ball joint, both down here where it connects and likes to pop off, but also up at the head itself. So, just be careful. Like I said, that connection and the gun connection are really my two minor nitpicks, are the head and the gun. But he's got dual hinge shoulders, bicep swivels, dual hinge elbows here, wrist swivels, as well as the individual fingers. He's got a waist swivel. All of these panels around his waist will move out of the way for leg poses, ratcheting hips, thigh swivel, ratcheting knees. You want that to stay in there, but he does have a little bit of ankle tilt. This piece, and there's not a whole lot of range there, just due to the hand being in there, but he does have a little bit of ankle tilt there with this piece. Posable toe. And all in all, a nice Vortex. Looking forward to the full combiner. I hope they're all at this kind of same level. Like I said, the difficulty seems to be just right. It's interesting enough to not be boring, but not so crazy once you go through the instructions. The instructions were actually pretty good about what needed to be done at most of these steps. The only one that was real confusing was that little flap inside his body. I wasn't always sure exactly where that needed to be based on the instructions, but you'll figure it out. But yeah, it's interesting. It's fun. The whole way it turns into an arm, the arm feels satisfying. None of the joint, like I feel like once he's in a combined mode, that arm's going to be able to support a lot of weight and hold poses. Like it doesn't feel loose. And all in all, a really nice looking Vortex. Size-wise, he is MP scale, although not. Some people were saying they thought he was going to be MP10 scale, and he's, I think, in scale with MP10, but he's not the size of MP10. Like there he is with the Ghostbusters version of MP10, just because that's what I had sitting out here. So yeah, but I mean, like he is Masterpiece scale. He's a little shorter than like Starscream and Optimus and Megatron, but as an arm bot, I feel like that's about where he sits. Now, I realize there may be an official scale that says I'm wrong, and if that's the case, I apologize. But I think he looks good on the shelf with other Masterpiece figures, and of course, once they're all out, a lot of us are going to be displaying Bruticus all combined, and I think he's going to look great all built up with Masterpiece figures. But there he is, Masterpiece or Ocular Max PS-13 Impetus, part of the Assaultus combiner, all built in, really nicely done, knocking stuff off my table. But yeah, there's Impetus. He's quite cool.